Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third-party knockoff review. This time I'm taking a look at the first offering from NBK. This is their TF Engineering. This is their take on the Generation Toys Scraper, which is of course based on the Transformers character Scrapper. Thanks to the guys over at TF Direct for making this review possible. I saw they had these in. A few of you wanted to know how good they are and if they're compatible, so I thought I'd grab one and find out. Box is exceptionally light. We've got some very kind of basic artwork on there, and they're just saying they're going to do the entire thing. Here we go, that's the box. Let's crack it open. And here he is out of the packaging. At first glances it looks very similar, but as we start digging a bit deeper, there are quite a few differences. The first being the weight. This guy weighs next to nothing in comparison. Generation Toys Scraper weighs 315 grams. That's about 11 ounces. And the Engineer weighs 215 grams. That's just over 7 ounces. Now, besides the weight differences, the cosmetic differences are subtle, but they are there, of course. We have to bear in mind that I've decorated this guy up with the Toy Hacks repro labels. From what I can tell, they should be pretty much compatible. You've got the grooves on the inside there, which we don't have with the original. We have the tinted windows, the actual shade of the green. It has a more yellowy tinge on this guy. It just doesn't have any real heft to it. The Generation Toys figure feels kind of robust. It feels like it could withstand some kind of ill treatment, and this is just very thin. It's been made on a budget, I guess. It's very hollow. It's just, it feels cheap. You look at the detailing on the wheels there. You know, they are wibbly wobbly. They just kind of sit there. You've got the rubberish tread on the Generation Toys, whereas this is just the plastic. We do get the nice chromed kind of hubcap sections here. The underside is actually a little bit untidy with the Generation Toys. If we look at the bootleg, they've actually tidied up the underside quite a bit. Now it's all to do with simplifying it and changing things around. Kind of flipped out and switched the crotch section around. The gun still pegs in, but as you can see here, the wheels and all that section here are on these hinges, whereas on here the feet and the wheels are kind of just built on. Like I said, it's been simplified, but at the end of the day, from a distance, I mean, are you really going to be able to tell? I mean, what do you guys want? If you want some cheap Constructicons, which kind of look the part in their vehicle modes, Generation Toys came out with a great idea, but these guys have done it a little bit cheaper. It's pretty much on par with what we got from the Jimbao Predator King. Again, looking at some more of the simplifications, they've done away with the hatches which cover the arm sections, and they've kind of just spun those around and just given us open flaps with ball jointed fists in. We've got more visible screws as well. The screws are a bright silver on the bootleg, whereas on the original they were a darker black, which did kind of hide away slightly. I really dislike the matte grey plastic, and especially all of the sprue marking as well. I mean, this is just, I don't like this at all. It's unnecessary. It looked much better in the green, but again, due to the simplifications, the back section here actually looks a lot tidier with the bootleg. You gotta love it when the instructions take you from robot mode to vehicle mode, or from vehicle to combined mode. Personally, I would have liked them to take me from vehicle mode to robot mode, but here we go. I'm going to just move backwards. The first port of action is just to pop open these arms, bring these sections down, rotate them out. We can flip the fists outwards like so, and close that section off, and then just rotate that section around, and that's going to come in and tab in on the outer arm, he says, like so. Bring down the chest section, flip up the head, and bring that section back up. We're going to separate these legs. They're tabbed in at several points, and this section here is on a mushroom peg, so we just give that a little wiggle like so. Open up this section, rotate the feet around, and this waist section is going to rotate around, bringing this leg section to the front like so. And that, believe it or not, is it for the transformation. That's yeah. It's certainly different. I love the details they've got on the chest there. It's really nice. It just looks cheap, doesn't it? It looks really cheap in his robot mode. The arms, they just don't look right. The legs are a little bit flippy floppy. I get why they simplify things, obviously to reduce the cost vastly, but it doesn't really cut it, does it? If people wanted to display these kind of with their masterpiece figures, the Generation toys, you could kind of pass it off, but these, they just look and feel very cheap indeed. The head can move, sort of. It's on a rocker. It doesn't really look up, doesn't really look down. We can go left and right. We can kind of pivot. There's some light piping there, which is good. There we go, we've got light piping. Arms can go up and down. We can go forwards and backwards on a friction joint. This section can bend, so we've got sideways elbow action. We have a rotation at the elbow. We get a kind of a 90-degree bend going on there. On a ratchet, we have a ratchet in there. The fists can rotate, but they are a fixed unit. The waist can rotate quite freely. The legs can come out on a friction joint, back on a friction joint, out to the side on a friction joint. We have an upper thigh rotation. We get that transformation bend at the upper thigh, which is ridiculous because it's really loose. We get a bend at the knee, and coming down to the feet, they are on a ball joint, so we can go forwards and backwards, and we can kind of pivot side to side, and we get left and right action. So he's kind of poseable. Oh man, that looks a mess, doesn't it? And just comparing him to Scraper, as you can see, skipping out on some of those leg transformation sequences, you really do lose that masterpiece-esque height, and it just doesn't really work, does it? Putting these two together, you're going to go for Scraper every time. He just looks that much better. On the upside though, Scraper can almost hold the gun. Here he is alongside Masterpiece Megatron. See, they just wouldn't go. Right, now let's get him transformed up into his limb mode, because I guarantee if you're watching this video, this is why you're thinking of getting one of these. You want them in the combined Devastator mode. First port of action, you want to fold away those hands. They just tuck inside and you can just close those off. You want to fold away his head, again tuck that off, and you want to rotate his waist. Now let's start with the arms first. You want to bring them down so they are at the base here, collapse this section down, and then bring them around so they tab in either side like so. So you're left with these sections here, and these two black sections here actually tab together here, just securing that for the base. Now using that ridiculous thigh joint, you want to just push that section down, and these are going to collapse like so. So you've got the joints at the top section here, and they are going to sit like that. We can actually bring those in together and tab those in. Place the gun back in. There's a tab here and a tab here, so it plugs in. Bring the feet down and around. They're going to fold back inwards, and again this tab section here is going to tab in to the gun, holding those all in. Be careful with these sections here. The plastic on the hinge is extremely brittle. As you can see, I've actually broken this hinge here. So we want to just leave those flat for now. We can then bring this section down on its wibbly wobbly hinge. We're going to bring this section up and push that down, tabbing that in, and open up this section here. That's going to rock backwards, and you've got this section here. Now, just like the original, it is very stiff, so we have to kind of move it back with an instrument. Come around to this section here and bend that up, and as we bend that up, we're going to tab that in like so, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is our Devastator leg. That's actually a pretty solid lump in this mode. We do still get some tilt going on there as well, and of course we get this joint here which we can move backwards and forward. Now the question is, does it work with the original? And the answer is yes. Yes, it does. It is a perfect fit. It's tight, but tight isn't always a bad thing. It holds on very well. Actually, when you have it posed up along with this guy's, and yes, of course, he is bombarded with the Toy Hacks repro labels, but when they're all together like that, it's very hard to distinguish the fact that he is a bootleg. It's pretty much in keeping. You do have some of this kind of orange kind of screen thing reflected around here, and it really does work, doesn't it? Don't get me wrong, the joints aren't amazing. It's kind of a little bit loose. It's not as good as I would liked, but it kind of holds there nicely. We do get that tilt still. You know, it's going to do the job. In comparison to the other leg, we get a much tighter joint because there's more ratchets on there, but, you know, he's not going to be doing gymnastics anytime soon, but to look at, he looks pretty darn good. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, me being the self-proclaimed king of KOs, have invented my KO scale with the Weijiang MPP10 being at the top. So of a scale of 1 to Weijiang, I am going to rate this little boy roughly around a 4. The plastic quality is rather lackluster. The detailing is missing. They have simplified the transformation somewhat. And normally I wouldn't get him, but because he can do this, because he's completely compatible, and because there's places like Repro Label Toy Hacks which can tart these figures up and make them look outstanding, he's gonna score that 4. You know, when this guy is completely built up of the bootlegs, it may score somewhat higher. Who is this targeted at? If you can't afford the Generation Toys version and you do want a Devastator in your collection, slightly more detailed than that of the Combiner Wars Devastator, then yes, these are actually quite good for you. You know, value for money wise, you're getting a fairly decent combiner for the price you're paying. Individual modes are a little bit sucky, the vehicle modes, but he does combine to form a mighty fine Devastator. Now, I will be selling my Generation Toys Devastator in the hope that I can get the Toy World version. It's just a preference, I prefer it over this guy, but I will try and keep hold of him until we've got all of these limbs so I can do the full comparisons. Hope you found this video useful. If you have, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, share it amongst your friends and family, and of course, feel free to subscribe. Thanks again to TF Direct for making this review possible. Once again, thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. Until next time, from myself and TF Engineering, thanks for watching. Goodbye.